to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this 21st day of November. Want to give a congratulations. News just broke a few minutes ago. Shohei Ohtani, folks, he's won his third MVP. One of the only few players in the history of the game, I want to say, since Frank Robertson has won it in both leagues. I didn't know he had three. And then, of course, congratulations to Aaron Judge. Yankees getting his second, just the third Yankee ever to win an MVP while serving as an active Yankees captain. And that's his second MVP. He joins Thurman Munson and Lou Gehrig as the only other Yankees to do so. Aaron Judge, what a player there. And, of course, Shohei Ohtani, maybe the greatest of all time. Got a great show with you for tonight. Thoughts on tonight's game. I'm calling for that upset. I'll explain why between the Browns and the Steelers, or starting to say the Ravens, and the Steelers. Also, I'm going to go a little bit more into detail about the Deion Sanders, Schroeder-Sanders combo talk going floated around in the sports talk universe to Dallas Cowboys. Plus, John Restano comes in 30 minutes past the hour. We're going to ask about Ohio State. Big game this weekend. We'll go over the Bills and who does he think the Bears, what direction he think they should go with after this season if they make a head coaching change. But first, let's stand by. Let's take our first and only break. I'll be back here momentarily. We'll hit the ground running here on the Real Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program.
I'm Mac, CEO of National Streaming Sports and host of the Mac and Jack Sports Show. You're watching the sharp-dressed man and the big story breaker, Robert Butler, on Sports Scope, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern on National Streaming Sports.
Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk for America.
All righty then. I don't got much time here before I know John will be here shortly. Okay, thoughts on tonight's game. Listen, the Steelers, I've been high on the Steelers last few weeks. But listen, folks, they are coming off of an emotional game against the Ravens. And Mike Tomlin and this Steeler team, Mike Tomlin, hold on, I messed up my notes here. Mike Tomlin and this Steeler team have never won a divisional road game on Thursday Night Football. They are 0-7 in such games, the team's entire history, as well as 0-5 under Coach Mike Tomlin as unearthed by Alan Sanders of the Steelers. Now they're 2-8 in Thursday night road games under Tomlin. Yes, you heard that. They're 2-8. Remember, they just got off a big win off of the Ravens, over the Ravens, and then this Cleveland Brown team, they're less than, 9 days away from their bye week. Now, they lost their first game after their bye, which is the road game at the that was a road game at the Saints there. So, but so that not good. That's not some good stats to have. Also, I read that Kevin Stefanski, according to Ian Rappaport, is not going anywhere. Expect to remain the Browns head coach in 2025. So that team's going to be motivated. They're going to have to play well because they're playing for Stefanski next year. Winston's playing for his next job as well to stay relevant. I know their left tackle's out tonight, but I know also there's some injuries there at the Steelers. I'm calling for the upset. Like I mentioned last night, I want to thank again my neighbor Roy and his cousin Ed. They were great. We were just talking about this. 24-23. I like the Browns to get the home win tonight. 24-23 on Thursday night football. Okay. Let me talk about this. I put this in a title last night and didn't talk about it, but now I'm going to. The 49ers. Switching gears to the 49ers. Blew a game, late game lead to Seattle last week. 2-minute drive by Geno Smith. I know that Nick Bosa went out in that last drive there, hurt the 49ers pass rush. But this team is almost exactly how I predicted their season would play out. Everybody with the 49ers wants to get a pay raise, who's a Pro Bowl level, including 36-year-old, and I know he did get his pay raise, left tackle Trent Williams. This team looks aged. They look sluggish. I think John Lynch, this general manager, like Brett Veach, has to start trading away players. Remember Brett Veach, and I hate to sound like a broken record, they're still living off those dividends from that Tyreek Hill trade a few years ago when a lot of people thought that was going to hurt them, okay? It didn't. They've won 2 Super Bowls, and, of course, they still have the 1 seed in the AFC. So, listen, folks, they're going to have to replace Trent Williams at some point. John Lynch, of course, this team is going to be picking anywhere from 18 to about 25th. There's still a chance they can make a run and get into a wild card. I don't expect them to get back to the Super Bowl because they lost the Super Bowl, for one thing. For another thing, they're getting older. You've got guys 30-plus years old. You got George Kittle. You got guys in his late 20s, early 30s. Deebo Samuel, very physical player, banged up. Same thing with Christian McCaffrey there. And, of course, next year, coming into year 4, Brock Purdy, he's going to want an extension, you know. Remember, this guy was a seventh round pick in 2022. Very last pick. They've been paying him peanuts pretty much the last few years here, and they've been to the Super Bowl and the AFC Championship game. McCaffrey's 28. I would look at moving those guys. I said this in the summertime, folks, and now it's looking like I'm looking. You always want to be a little bit ahead of the curve, and you just cannot. And I know Lynch is a former player. This is the old adage, and I know Belichick, when they were rolling up there in New England, you want to move on a year ahead rather than a year behind. You got guys like Christian McCaffrey's finally healthy again. Is he going to continue to be healthy with this kind of style that they run? No, he's not. You know, you're going to have to move on. George Kittle, post 30. I would even look at, and I know he's playing rock solid football. I would look at moving a Fred Warner, who's 28 and right in his prime, you know. I mean, you move these guys, Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, Fred Warner, you could get 5 to 6 picks there in the top 120. You need to look to replace Trent Williams, 36 years old, want more money, plus he's getting older at that left tackle. That's the biggest concern I have. You know, offensively, you still got Brandon Ayuk. He's going to come back next year. Ricky Pearsall finally getting his footing a little bit since he was shot. Remember in the crazy incident in San Francisco there. Lucky to be alive. That was turned out to be much more serious than we were originally led to believe. But you want to mix this team up. You've got your quarterback, and I've said this before. Once you've got coach quarterback Shanahan Purdy, and now you got to pay him. Look at the model that the Chiefs are doing. You know, you look at that model, you got to get young and vibrant around him, similar to what I know people don't want to hear it, what the Rams done. Rams got the playoffs last year. You know, they might not have to strip down as much as the Rams did, but I do think you can move some of these guys and get some valuable picks here. I would even consider, and I would be very low-key about this, I would even consider perhaps moving a 27-year-old Nick Bosa. I say that because you can probably get 2 to 3 first-round picks for him. You could probably get a 4th round and a 3rd. You could get 4 or 5 possible picks for Nick Bosa because he's an edge rusher and his prime. You can get a really big King's ransom. Now, I would want multiple picks. I would want more than 2 picks for a guy of his status. But with Purdy's salary coming in, you're going to have to be able to get higher draft picks than 25 to 32. You want to get somebody in the top 10 here. You want to get a big-time left tackle. You want to possibly get another edge rusher, another defensive tackle there. You're good at quarterback. You're good at wide receiver here. You can find running backs. George Mason did really well as a backup here. You can continue to develop and add more and work with Brock Purdy and add more to his game. So that's something the 49er fans don't want to hear. That's something John Lynch knows he needs to deal with, but probably don't want to say it publicly. But they're a team I didn't get a chance to talk about the other day. Still got a really good core there, a lot of talent there. They've had to move off players in the past. They've just, you know, they've had great defensive players in the past. They moved off him, Buckner and everything, and they still retooled and reloaded. So you just want to be ahead, and that's why the Chiefs are so good. They've made the proper moves, trades, let players go, and they've reshuffled around. Mahomes, who's had contracts, huge, massive contracts, and they're still finding out ways to win because they're making the right moves around him as well. So that was just some food for thought. You know, I meant to mention that yesterday. Okay. Now, Mitch, I touched on this yesterday about Deion Sanders and Schroeder, but I really didn't dig into it like I'm going to right now. Guys like Colin Cowherd's mentioned that the Dallas Cowboys, they're looking dreadful. They're getting blown out at home. They're 3-9, I want to say. They're 3-9, if I'm not mistaken. They currently have the 9th pick, so they're right here in the top 10. It doesn't get any easier, although they do get to play the Giants, who's also, they're the Giants, 5th. This doesn't get any better for the NFC East, does it? So you're looking at this. You're looking at the fact that Dak Prescott's done for the season. They got to pay Micah Parsons next year if they want to keep him. They've already paid 4-year extension to Dak Prescott. I said they're a very top-heavy team. Got a lot of money invested in Dak. Now they've got a lot of money invested in CeeDee Lamb. They're going to have a lot of money invested into Michael Parsons. And now that they have injuries, they're looking like a total dumpster fire. There's no other way to put it. So that this idea of Deion Sanders, a lot of scouts think Schroeder Sanders is the number one prospect. He's not across the board, but being a quarterback, maybe Travis Hunter, his teammates, the number one prospect. Odds are the quarterback's going to get drafted over the better player, over the better overall athlete, and of course, Deion has already floated the idea that if he don't like where Schroeder's being drafted, he's going to pull an Archie Manning and an Eli Manning, and they're just going to say, we'll just sit out a year. We're not going to sign with you. We're going back, I think it was 2004 or 2003, if I'm not mistaken. I want to say it was 2004 where Arch Manning told the Chargers, the then San Diego Chargers, listen, I'm not going to draft you guys. I'm not going to sign with you. They work out a trade with the Giants. The rest is history. They end up taking Phillip Rivers a few picks later. The Giants took Eli Manning. This could be similar. Dallas is at 9. I think they can possibly get up to 3, maybe 2, because of the Titans play the Jags and whatnot, and of course they play the Giants as well. Cleveland, I just mentioned, Cleveland's going to try to still be competitive because Stefanski's coming back, and maybe they'll be dealing with Vegas. But either way, my point is Jerry Jones loves to, treat his former players. He wouldn't. I think the only reason I'm even talking about this is because Jerry Jones would love to have a former Cowboy be a head coach of his team, which was now he didn't draft him. He was drafted originally by Atlanta and Deion Sanders, but he would love to have Deion there and have him on this team. I think as far as the Dak Prescott is concerned, yes, he has a no trade clause per se, but I also looked at the fact that, Dak will be 32 next year. Yeah, that's a $60 million a year contract. Yeah, the Cowboys would have to eat a chunk of that contract, which would be enticing to another team. He's only 32. I thought he was a year or two older than that. He'll be 32 next year. He'll be back from that hamstring injury. Could you see him with the Seattle Seahawks next year? I think the Seahawks are a quarterback away. I know they got the drive there against Geno. The Geno Smith had the drive there against the 49ers. I just mentioned the 49ers and without Nick Bosa. And a chunk of that fourth quarter is the reason why they won that game. Okay. But could you imagine a Dak Prescott with a ready-made team, receivers, offensive line, running game, full, and maybe a Seattle only having a foot about $25 to $30 million of that $60 million contract, and the Dallas Cowboys take a chunk of it the first 2 years. Then you also got the salary cap going up. It would be pretty absorbent for a team like a Seattle having a Dak Prescott there. And then you have some dead money, but look at the Denver Broncos just totally blown out a fellow a playoff team in the Atlanta Falcons, and they have about a $45-50 million dead cap hit on the Russell Wilson contract. And then you got a team like the Steelers who are playing right now. You got a team like the Steelers that are paying him like $1.5 million, and he's their starting quarterback. So it could be a win-win situation for Seattle and for Dallas. And you've got Deion coaching his son. Dallas is getting cap relief so they can fill out their roster, build up their running game and whatnot, which they have done. They're 32nd in the league and rushing offense. And you're not going to get anywhere doing that, being one-dimensional like that. Schroeder Sanders with the dad, that would really make a splash. That would be the talk of the offseason. I could say this. I mean, the multiple interviews with Dion and Jerry together, that would be interesting. Now, Dion has said in the past, like last year, maybe the year before, that he really does not want to coach professional players. I know this will be a different situation with his son. He said, man, I'll kill one of these kids, because these young men, because there's entitlement issues with the NFL players. But that was before this NIL stuff really taken off about 2 or 3 years ago. Now NIL's really sank in. It hasn't really hurt them. I mean, what are they, 7-2? They're ranked in the top 25. They just beat Utah last week. They're on a winning streak right now. It looked like things were going off the rails in the beginning of the season, and even going back to the preseason for this Colorado team, with them, the stuff with the going off on the reporters about not asking certain questions and hit pieces, all that distraction. Then it comes out a story about he doesn't want he wants the band to not play. He wants to play a particular rap song every time that Schroeder Sanders scores, and of course he denied all this stuff. And looking at the fact that last year they won 3 or 4 games last year, the team fell apart towards the end of the season. They looked undisciplined. They led the league in penalties, but all that's gotten cleaned up. He's brought some guys on. I hear that who was it? Warren Sapp is fitting in really well. He's just an assistant defensive line coach with them. They've got a nice semi-professional, a lot of former pros, a lot of former NFL players, that's helping him out with their coaching staff. So he's really turning around. The narrative has turned around in about 2 months, the last 2 months, on Deion Sanders as a coach. I've said on this program, now this call balls and strikes, folks. I just call it like I see it. The first 3 weeks of the season, they were blown out by Nebraska. You look at this team, and I'm reading all this stuff. I'm just saying the guy looked like a total disaster there. Now things have come together, and the narrative has changed. So I've got new information. Winning cures a lot. Winning cures a lot. So that's a story to monitor. Now, Michael Irvin says he thinks it can happen. I know a lot of the Fox Sports people throwing it out there. This is not rumors that he's going to do it. This is not reports. It's just a lot of people putting 2 and 2 together with, Dallas Cowboys are picking in the top 10. Dallas Cowboys are likely going to fire Mike McCarthy. Deion Sanders wants his son to go with a certain NFL team. He's going to steer his son away from certain organizations. He's even joked about not even playing in northern climates. And plus now he's winning. He's a former Cowboy, massive ego, like the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones. So you start putting all that together. You start putting all those things together, and you're like, okay, maybe this does work. Maybe this does work. So would it be fun for shows like mine and John Restano's backstage from Spitballing Sports to speculate on every week? And yeah, it would be. So on that, folks, let me bring up John Restano from
Thank you.
Hey, this story broke just a few minutes ago. Do you have any thoughts on Aaron Judge? He got a second MVP tonight, man.
I got, that's good. I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, do that. You got to do it you got to do it in the postseason. He didn't do it in the postseason again. So I think now going forward, I would think most Yankee fans would think it's not really what are you going to do? All right, great. No, but it doesn't matter anymore. And I don't know, man. I don't know where Soto's going to end up. So,
Yeah,
but I can't.
you're really hooked on this Soto thing. You love that guy, don't you?
Yeah, I think he's important. He's only 25, and
He's very young, folks. He's a very young guy.
And he's a guy that he doesn't only. Although Judge was really good too in the regular season, but he's a performer in the playoffs. He performs in a World Series. I don't know, man. He knows how to. He takes a lot of pitches. He's perfect. And I don't know why the Yankees would let him out the door. So we'll see. The Red Sox are sniffing around, man.
Yeah, they've been quiet in the weeds, John.
Yeah.
And I was just watching. I don't know if you got Netflix, but I was watching a little bit of that comeback. The 2004 Red Sox documentary on Netflix, and I got to thinking they've been a little too quiet these last few years. Remember, they shipped Mookie Betts to the Dodgers. They've been. I think they're going to spend some money. Now I looked up a few articles and said, yeah, they're going to spend some money.
Absolutely, very quiet, man.
Yeah. Any thoughts about Ohtani, man? I mean, he's got his third MVP, man. I didn't know he had 3.
There's a guy. I mean. I don't even know. He's ridiculous. I mean, and he went to LA. It was perfect. He almost went to Toronto. He was so close to being a Blue Jay.
Oh,
and
man.
In LA, I mean, and he's. You know what I didn't realize because I don't. Watching the Yankees, Dodgers on the West Coast, all that stuff. How big he is. He is a big guy, like
physically big. I didn't know he's 6'4".
Yeah, and imposing, like big, like a lineman or like a tight end or something. So, and the guy's great. I mean, how long does he? I don't know. How long does he get to do both? The pitching, the hitting. Probably not much more. But I thought he was playing good in the playoffs. I mean, he got hurt there, but I look, man. Aaron Judge to me, I got to go back to him because it's so just disappointing. It really is, and I almost started it as much as I could feel bad for a guy who's making $1 billion, millions of dollars. Just on a sports, watching, you could see it in his face. There's something happening. I said on Twitter, sports psychologist, you need to help him because you could see it in his eyes. It's just not.
Well, that last game, you got a big home run though.
He did. Yeah.
The Yankees pulled that 5th inning. You want to forget that, I guess.
Yeah, but he's like, the base hits. He's batting like 330 in the regular season.
Yeah.
And you get in there and now you're striking out like you did, your rookie season. So
some guys just don't do well in the postseason. I mean, Barry Bonds didn't do well. A-Rod was total choke artist.
How about, and Kershaw. Kershaw was always
Kershaw with the pitcher too, man. He's a guy you wouldn't want to get him in the postseason. Sorry, man, I didn't bring the baseball on you, but that stuff was broke. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
About these guys. I want to ask you, man, this Bills team, that was a pretty impressive win. I didn't see them winning by 9. Does this mean anything for the playoffs? Can they do this, or is this the Bills being the Bills? They're gonna choke again in the playoffs against this Chiefs team.
Well, again, I was saying this. I just got done doing our Gridiron Weekly show, and we were talking about this very thing. And that game's got to stop. The Chiefs Bills in the regular season, it happens too much. Like it's every single year, almost like they're a division team. It's rooting it because Allen versus Mahomes is a nice matchup. It reminds you right of Manning versus Brady, but Manning versus Brady, that was special because you wouldn't see it every year. That was really special when they would play. But all right.
Good point, man. It's a good point. You know how the NFL is, though. They want to get the ratings, man.
Look, the Bills are getting healthy for the first time. I mean, you're talking they're going to come off the bye and have probably Milano back. I mean, I'm guessing.
You mentioned that last time you're on. Yeah.
They're going to be in full strength. Usually they're getting hurt at that time. They're at full strength. I think Kansas City is vulnerable. They're very vulnerable. I thought they were before. They should have lost to Denver, obviously, and there was other times in the season. I don't think they're the same. I think Allen had a signature a little bit. He probably deserved an MVP by now, but you figure, that was a hell of a game for him. I don't know, man. It's hard with them. I mean, I've watched them do what you said. They get in there and something always happens and there's a problem and they choke or they miss a field goal, whatever. I'm going to say, man, there's something. There's something a little different, I think, and I think it's
There's
because
no Stephon Diggs on this team. I said that would be addition by subtraction in the offseason.
it is. I think you're absolutely right because look at those guys. I mean, Amari Cooper making catches with one arm because he got a cast on the other.
Yeah.
I like Amari Cooper. Talk about a different from Cooper to Diggs. Cooper doesn't say anything. You don't even hear from him.
He's real quiet.
And you got they're doing, and they're not even doing this with Kincaid. Right now, I think they're number 2. I guess you got to put Detroit 1. I probably put Buffalo 2.
Yes,
but it could be 1A, 1B at this point. And I got to tell you, I don't know. The Chiefs do not impress me. I don't know if they're going to make it out of the. They could lose in their first whoever they play. I mean, I just don't.
Well, they got Pacheco coming back this week, though. He's got a little bit more than a Hunt. Although Kareem Hunt's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Now that's 7, 8 years in the league.
I mean, I didn't look at any like that. You can look at the film after the games and you look at all that stuff. I don't know what the Bills did, but Travis Kelce, and I don't know. I didn't even see him. They were thrown to the other tight end. So I don't know where he was in that game.
Yeah.
He was just kind of not there. He wasn't there. I don't know, man. Eventually, you can't keep doing it. Smoke and mirrors type stuff.
Yeah.
Xavier Worthy. I don't even know who. I can't even remember. Oh, they got Hopkins.
We got Hopkins from here, yeah.
But he's not the same. He's not that same Hopkins that we remember. Right. But I don't know. The Bills. I think they are as good of a chance for them as it's been since the 90s. I think to get to a Super Bowl.
That's a good point. And I was mentioning this to the audience. I studied the box score of the last game in January in the playoffs where they lost 27-24. And the Bills ran like 25 more plays than Kansas City. But if you recall, Kansas City had their whole linebacking core out in that game, and they still almost beat them. It's got to be frustrated for Buffalo,
Well, like last year for Buffalo too. Remember they had no Milano, no Bernard. They were out too. Their offense. Yeah. They were playing with the guy off the. I wish I could remember his name. He played for the Bears and for Carolina. And I think for the Bills at one time. But anyways, he was playing in the middle. He came off the couch to play in the middle.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
The guy, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But then remember Diggs had a chance to catch that ball and he drops it. Yeah. And that would have been huge. And of course, Bass misses a field goal. Obviously it's going to be different playoff time if they match up. This regular season game is kind of got the fool's gold feeling, but
right.
I just, we'll see. I hate the game. I don't want to see it anymore. I've been saying it and saying it and saying it. We see it too much.
It's a real competitive game, and it's just I'd like to see the Bills get over the hump at some point. Especially with a mega talent like Josh Allen.
I think they're, like I said, looking at the AFC too. I think the Texans are kind of coming. They're not really playing that well. I mean, maybe Nico Collins' help. Yeah. The Steelers, Ravens. Are you really? I don't know. I don't know what to think of that.
Now the Ravens destroyed Buffalo, but Buffalo had a lot of defensive guys out in that game too. So,
that was a weird game, and that was that wacky game where they came out at the halftime. They were playing really well. They were going in, and they did that reverse throw and all that nonsense. So really, I think the AFC set up for them because other than the Chiefs, who I think are weak, I don't see who the Bills would have a hard time with in there. So it's open to them, man. This is their best chance since '93, I guess.
Well, I don't know. This Charger team looks pretty good if they're healthy.
They do look good. How about that, Harbaugh? Jeez.
Yeah. They, those two play each other. The Harbaugh brothers play. Was it Monday night?
Yes.
I can't wait for that game.
Yeah, I can't wait to. And it makes me sick because he wanted. How he is. He was Bo Schembechler in Michigan. He would have been Ditka in Chicago, and the Bears are too cheap to have done it. And what a difference they would have been. He did everything but beg, and they didn't do it because they're cheap. And
I had two guys on my program that live in my complex here. Yet last night, John, and they're both from Chicago, but they said the same thing. One guy's a Steelers fan. His cousin Roy is a Steelers fan. His cousin Ed is a Ravens fan. They're both born and raised Chicago. They just said they don't like the front office. They don't like the ownership.
Yeah, and you know what it is? The owners, what happens? They get a free pass because it's not like the guy in Jacksonville. It's not like the guy in Carolina. It's 100-year-old Virginia McCaskey. daughter of the Papa Bear Hallis. She's 100. Her son's 75, and they don't do anything. It's really quiet all the time. You know what I mean? They're just there. Might as well be like a mom and pop deli or something. And they're just wearing, and no one gets there. But what they ends up happening is they go on the cheap. They find, like, if there's the hot, here's the hot coordinator out there, whoever it may be, they'll get Eberflus instead. Harbaugh is one. All you had to do is fire Eberflus. Harbaugh would have been in. What a difference that have made for everything.
Man,
but
one of the more talented rosters in the NFL, John. I think if they were to fire Eberflus, do you think they're going to fire Eberflus?
I think they do at the end of the season. Yeah, okay. I think they will. I think Thanksgiving is probably going to be an embarrassment. They'll probably get murdered in Detroit. I mean, it'll probably be really bad.
They're playing Detroit. Oh, wow.
Now they played Green Bay good last week. That blocked field goal should have been, that was a penalty. I have to agree. They jumped on the long snapper. You're not supposed to touch them, but they didn't call it. I just, now they play Minnesota. They got a shot. They could beat them, but Detroit Thanksgiving, that could be bad. And then that's embarrassment. I mean, you've been embarrassed 3 times. The Washington game and the Arizona game, and then
I hated that Washington
and the New England game. They laid down, and
that was the worst one. I'm sure you were ticked at that after that game.
Well, that's when you fire them, right? I mean, they quit.
Yeah,
their defense. When you look at their defense, they're 6th in giving up points. They're a good defense. They really are.
Yeah, they are. A lot of players on this team, man.
They just stopped tackling, and you could see it. And so anyways, I mean, it's going to be interesting. You got to then the question comes, do you fire the GM too? Do you blame Ryan Poles for not fixing that offensive line? And why are you drafting a punter in the 4th round? What is that all about? You need offensive line help? And you probably didn't need Keenan Allen, Robert. You probably didn't need Keenan. All you needed
a 4th round pick on a guy that's pretty long in the tooth, Fanny.
Roma Dunze, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, and if you could have kept Khalil Herbert for all I care, but okay, Swift, and you're good. You get a 3rd receiver from somewhere. It was really kind of over the top bunch of players being thrown in there with no offensive line. And you know what happens then. And and I've got to give Caleb Williams some credit, man. Again, he drove them down the field. It's the 3rd time to win the game, and
So I'm still pretty high on Williams too, man. I've heard the critics out there. He's digressed. He did this. A lot of it is coaching too. It is coaching. Who would you like to see them pick up if they do fire him come January?
Cliff Kingsbury would be interesting to reunite.
Still think he's head coaching material, John?
He might not be. That's the problem. Already. I know that's the problem, but that would be a Bears thing. That would be a very Bears thing to do. The guy in Detroit, I think he'd be
Ed Johnson.
Yeah, you would figure that would be a decent. I don't want to. It's bad because the Bears have always been good with defensive head coaches. Mark Trestman was a disaster, but I might want to go offensively minded. Jim Harbaugh was perfect.
Yeah.
Who's a guy, if he came back, and I see him on Barstool Sports, and he's not going to, but whatever. Gruden. That would have been that's the type. That would have been good. They're undisciplined.
That's a very attractive roster, man.
It should be.
Williams, all those picks.
You got to get your offensive line set up straight. Yeah. But those are the guys, I guess. But here, Dan Quinn. I mean, they took Eberflus over Quinn. I mean, that whole story about how he would have been a Chicago Bears coach. What a better coach that would have been. Look what he's been able to do. Yeah. Why do you go visit Kingsbury to be your offense and don't come back with him? Because you're cheap.
Right.
You're cheap, and then you end up with the guy. When everyone heard Shane Waldron, it was like, who? What are you talking about? All he did was help Geno Smith. Now, that's fine, but Geno Smith's an older quarterback. He's not a rookie.
Right.
So
I wasn't that high on Shane Waldron either. That wasn't,
That's just that's what they do. They find the, if it would be like having to hit lightning in a bottle. I mean, it's similar to what they kind of, at one point when they had Ryan Pace, and they had Matt Nagy, it seemed like, okay, this isn't bad. This could be okay.
Right.
Maybe they moved on too fast from Nagy. I don't know. But
Yeah.
this
Well,
here,
he
they
went
brought
with whatchamacallit, that who was your quarterback? Trubisky.
yeah. Well,
You
and then
know?
and then of course what happens? This is another Bears thing to do. Ryan Pace and is a lame duck, and so is Nagy. They draft a quarterback in Justin Fields. You bring Fields in, you are gonna fire these guys because you're gonna have to play with Andy Dalton and
Right.
Cole, you know. So they're gonna get fired. And of course, you bring in coaches that didn't, or, you know, GMs that didn't draft the quarterback. Why are you letting that guy draft Fields?
Oh,
So,
I hate that. Yeah. Yeah.
So we're kind of there again. So I guess firing Poles, you wouldn't want to do that.
I kind of want to keep Poles, but you're saying maybe move off Poles. Wow.
No, maybe a whole, but he better make the right choice. He needs to make the right choice at head coach. And if he's not making that choice, and it's the new guy, I can't remember his first name, Warren, who used to be the president of the Big Ten. He's their president of operations. Someone better do something because you got to get it right, man, because Caleb Williams is all you got. I came to a point the other day, I was talking to some guys, and I was saying, you know, maybe the Bears should never draft quarterback again and just do the route where you always get, you know, Baker Mayfield, or you're grabbing Stafford, or you're always bringing in a guy because you can't do it. You just,
Jay Cutler.
you know what I mean? Can't do it.
Yeah. Somebody from somebody else's team. I'm like you. I think they should go offensive minded. I was real high on Lincoln Riley, but boy, he's falling apart as a head coach at USC. That don't look too attractive.
No.
You know, Ben Johnson would. I think I read something that he would have been interested in that job a few years ago. He knows the division.
Right.
He's a young guy. Maybe put some veteran defensive guys around him to be the defensive side of the ball, be the coordinators, since he is a young guy, or maybe a Bobby Slowick from Houston, who's been kind of talked about too, but he's only 37, 38 years old. He would also have to have some vets around him. He can't have a bunch of kids running the team in their 30s. But I always like that Sean McVay model from the Rams, where he hired Wade Phillips as a defensive coordinator. You know, so Shula will save the Bears. Okay, Carlos trying to be funny. You talking about Don Shula got to dig him up, or one of his sons?
one of his sons.
Funny guy. Yeah. But I don't know, man. They're a really talented team, a talented roster, and I like to bring you on and ask you about them. Let's see. Where should we go now? Okay, what are your thoughts on a huge game in the college game, brother? Ohio State, they're playing Indiana. They lost their center this week in practice. Did you see that? Are you concerned about that, Eddie, man?
Yeah, because that was the guy from Alabama that they took in
the transfer.
Yeah. So that's tough. He was good. That's a problem. That's a problem. You got to hope that they got the other 4-star guy who's just going to plug. I don't know. They're going to plug in. Everyone thinks at Ohio State, and it's the truth because they pay you. They got a $20 million thing. So
talked about it. Yeah.
There's not much forgiveness for them. And you know what? It's weird because you're playing Indiana. It's such a big game, but Michigan is looming, and you know how big Michigan is. Yeah, and they've lost to Michigan so many times now in the row. Look, I can't. If they lose at home to Indiana, I'm going to have to say it again. I don't know when Ryan Day they're going to pull the plug on him because he can't
They're
win.
not like Chicago. They'll pull the plug in a minute.
It might be time. I mean, Mike Vrabel still runs around talking about Ohio State. I mean, let's see. I don't know what that would work out, but I mean, if he loses to Indiana, that's not, come on, man. I know Indiana's good. I love the quarterback Rorick. I like all about Indiana, but it's not. They should beat them. I'm not saying they're going to cover the 14 points. Maybe they don't.
I thought it was 11.5. Is it 14 now?
Down to 11. Okay, it must have dropped to 11.
They should win the 14 at home, though, right? Even with another center.
They should, right? They should. They should run the ball. They should be fine. I mean, I have no not patience, but look, man, you go out to Oregon, you lose. You should have won the game. We know all that
The
story.
close game, yeah.
Lose
I
by a
kinda figured
point.
it'd go that way.
The pass interference, offensive pass interference, ended the game pretty much for them. Which is I don't know, but you gotta you can't tell me anymore. You gotta beat them. You beat Indiana. You beat Penn State. You beat Indiana. That's it, man. And I do like Will Howard. I think he's been playing fine. The quarterback, I like him. I think you lean on those running backs. That Judkins from Ole Miss and Henderson. I mean, those guys are pretty good. Just give them the ball and go. Just really run. And you got the wide receiver Smith, and they obviously they got everything around them. There's no excuse for Ohio State to lose at home to Indiana.
Fox put this out today. Fox College Football. They said, here's the comparison. The star system, right?
Yeah.
5-star players. Ohio State's got 14, John. Indiana's got 0. 4-star players, if Carlos is still watching, 55 4-star players that Ohio State to 10 for Indiana. And then you've got 11 3-stars to 57. But 55 to 10, this should be a rout, but I don't know. I got a feeling they're going to cover, man. I think Indiana's kind of got a light schedule and caught some breaks, brother.
I like their head coach. I do like him. Signetti or whatever for Indiana. I like him. He's done a great job, I think.
Huge extension this week, too, or was it last week?
Yeah. Let me ask you a question real quick.
Yeah,
now,
sure,
you all those Ohio State guys, all that 4 stars, all this. Eventually, with the new money going around, I bet you that's going to even some things up through the years here. That those guys will want to sit and they'll go play. LSU's going to take me and buy me, or this one's going to come and, you know what I'm saying? Like pretty much how Ohio State bought guys all around. I would think. Well, look, they took the guy from Alabama. Downs is a really good safety they got from Alabama.
They did.
And I think that this is my point. Like maybe here, these 4 stars don't want to sit anymore. And they can find a place to start.
55 4-star players, John. I mean, I picked them to win the national championship. I want them to destroy Indiana. I don't want to look like an idiot.
Yeah, me too. Same here. Cover. But,
I really hope they do, man. I know you heard me backstage. I sent you this in the text. And Carlos, you can chime in on this. It's not reported in air quotes. It's not none of this stuff, but this idea being floated around about maybe Deion Sanders and Schroeder being a 2-for-1 package there to the Cowboys, who are picking 9th in the draft right now. Mike McCarthy looks like a lame duck. What do you think about the possibility of something like that possibly happening?
I guess the first thing I think about when I hear it is Dak. What's happening to him? Where's he going? What are we doing? What are you guys doing with him? What are they doing with him? Because it's a lot of money. He's there. I don't know what you do with him. Next thing, I think Deion's doing a great job in Colorado. All of a sudden, they can stop the run. They're a little better. They're a lot better, actually. Obviously, maybe Dallas. I don't know if. That's a tough one, man. That's tough. I like his son. I think he's a tough quarterback. I actually think he's really, really good.
He's pretty resilient, ain't he?
Yeah. Takes a beating. Oh, my gosh. It would be great for definitely, like you said, for all of our podcasts and stuff.
You're talking about it every week.
Ton of fun.
Especially leading up to the draft and after the draft. I mean, every little thing will get covered.
Because I read that Shedeur is going to go number 2 in a lot of places. I read Hunter 1, Shedeur 2. And I don't know I forgot.
I've seen some mock drafts say the same thing.
Or we're going to have Deion saying, no, you're not going when they want to. See, it's going to be a mess. Like he's going to try to. So how the hell are they going to?
Right.
This
may help it go to Dallas because Deion's good friends with Jerry. He used to play there. Jerry Jones loves this big splash. Oh, man. And boy, do they look awful.
They do look awful.
Run the football, John.
Oh, those running backs are decrepit.
And running the ball, man.
The one time when I saw Delvin Cook and Ezekiel Elliott, I was like, wow, look at these guys. I mean, they're
look like their crutches out there, brother.
Yeah. And then they play. They're like Dwindell or whatever his name is, Dwiddle. And it's bad. The best thing is their kicker. their kicker is the funnest thing to make 55-yard field goals. So he's a pretty fun to watch. What's going to happen to Micah Parsons? I don't know. That's interesting. I don't know where he goes.
They don't have any depth, man. And my thing would be, now Dak's got a no trade clause. He's got the $60 million a year. But listen, the Denver Broncos, they ate a ton of Russell Wilson's money, and they're doing pretty well with Bo Nix right now. They just blew out Atlanta last week, man.
Yeah.
And look at Russell Wilson making peanuts there. He's like $1 million. $1
million, yeah.
To go to Pittsburgh, they're playing pretty well. They're in first place. So what about a Seattle? You know?
Yeah.
What if Dallas eats a chunk of that, and then he goes play with Mike McDonald up in Seattle? So I don't know. I mean, if I'm Dak, Dak will be 32 next year. I thought he was a year or two older than that. So
okay, he's still
he's still fairly young. You know, look at Matt Stafford's age when he was with the Rams, and he won a Super Bowl, man. So it seems like it would make sense. It's a lot of stuff that would have to, a lot of moving parts.
Yeah. Obviously he's got to go though. You can't have him there. He's got to leave.
God, no, he's not going to be Schroeder's backup or mentor.
Because he's going to start. And if you're going to have Deion's going to be the head coach, I mean, it'll be great. But I just, well, but if he's not going to be the head coach, let's say that doesn't happen with Dallas, right? That's not going to he's not going to be the head coach there. Now it's time to draft him, and you're the Giants. This guy's not going to let it happen. So
he don't want him playing in cold weather.
All right. Well, there's a lot of teams gone. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Tennessee. He could go down there.
I think we're okay. I mean, Tennessee's going to get a dome in a couple of years.
Yeah. Could Dak come down there, you think, or no?
I don't know. Oh, Dak?
Yeah.
Possibly. If they eat part of that contract, Tennessee feels like they're a quarterback away. Statistically, Tennessee's got one of the best defenses in the league. You can't tell that when you got a quarterback who's always turning the ball over or going 3 and out like nobody's business. I'd like to see Tennessee get Cam Ward or Schroeder Sanders between me and you. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's really frustrating. If they got Dak Prescott, maybe the Raiders look at Brock Bowers. They need some help on defense, but their line's pretty good. I can see him going to Vegas. Yeah,
Las Vegas, perfect spot, right? I mean, could Deion coach there? Sure. Why not? But if he, because
I don't know if it'd be a 2-for-1 package. I just think that would be specific for Dallas.
Right.
Schroeder's going to be interesting because Deion's already made it be known. It's certain. That's going to be a great story to follow.
Yeah.
Regardless of what the Cowboys do.
I don't know, man. Hey, Deion knows what he's doing, and I'm not going to whatever, but I don't like that's tough when you start doing that. I mean, it worked one time for the Mannings. We know what Eli did. It's
LA
such a
in 83 did it.
Yeah. Such a bad look, man. I get it though. Why I don't want to go
to another level though. What about weather and this and that? I'm like, come on, man.
Because that was the whole thing about Caleb Williams. He's not going to go he doesn't want to go to the Bears. He was fine to go to the Bears. He was fine with it. Now I understand why you wouldn't, because that's where young quarterbacks die there. But he's going to hopefully change that. But yeah, that's a great rumor. We need that. We want that to happen.
Yeah,
we would want it. Bring him in. That'll be fun for us it'll be just pandemonium over there.
Yeah. Hey, man, I didn't realize we have this much time. We got a few minutes here. Hey, what do you think about that fiasco with Jake Paul and Mike Tyson? Did you watch any of that Friday night?
Oh, yeah. I watched
it. I got suckered in too, man. Run my whole weekend.
I watched it all. But as I was saying to friends and family members and stuff, and we were talking, and he's 58 though. I mean, look at him. He walked out of the tunnel, like coming down the aisle. He stumbled on it. His knee looked like it was really weak. I mean, how does the hell he beat a 27-year-old? I mean, the guy, I don't know if he's a good, I don't even know what the hell he is, but I know he's in great shape and he knows how to punch. Yeah. So, he can, it was never a change. It was really a joke. It was really, really a disgrace. I can't believe they allowed betting on that.
Did you hear about the stipulations of the contract? No uppercuts.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Basically, Mike Tyson, basically signed a contract that almost assured him he was going to lose this fight.
Right.
No uppercuts. He was had to go 8 rounds. Well, that's going to favor a 27-year-old.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Tyson didn't go in on this guy. He didn't grab him. He didn't put him against the ropes or nothing. If you're playing a guy like that at that distance they stayed at, of course he's going to. If I'd have known that, I would have picked Jake Paul.
Well, I would have figured. I said online, I said Jake Paul's going to knock him out. I don't see how
you did say you liked Jake. Okay.
Yeah, that he knocks him. I thought he'd knock him out in the 4th round or something. But obviously Jake Paul. I thought he took it easy on him because he is the. You really want to knock him out? I mean, that's why this whole thing was a joke. Do you really want to lay him out? People are going to be mad if he does it. Right. So it was this.
He just kind of rubs people the wrong way, anyways.
Yeah. But how did they allow betting on that? My God, that was a gift.
It was on FanDuel because I bet a few dollars on it. I mean, I didn't bet a lot of money, but because I didn't know what was going to happen.
Now, I tell you what, boxing is in a really. I don't know what to even say about it. What are you going to do? Where does this kid Paul is the biggest thing in boxing? Yeah. He makes all the money. So who do you fight? When I don't even know because it's so.
Tyson Fury, fight a real fighter.
Yeah. Well, he fought his brother.
Yeah, and lost in a decision.
Yeah.
Maybe they're going to do another one. Now, Tyson Fury's got a big fight coming up, I think in December, right?
Yeah.
He's got a rematch for that championship belt. I may find a way to order that thing. That may be a great fight.
Yeah, remember how bad he looked against he fought Nagano, the guy who was, and then he looked terrible.
He's got a big gut too, but he's good with his hands.
Yeah. Yeah. But that Jake Paul thing, good thing in Netflix, they dropped the ball. Oh my God, it was
all that loading and
that's bad.
Good Lord.
What does the NFL think about that?
I know he's got the Christmas game coming up. Hopefully they'll get this fixed, man. What's going on, Patrick? Good to see you, buddy. But I tell you, man, it's part of it looked really nice. It looked good at times. I like the setup, the coloring of it. And then other parts, you're like, okay, is it just me? And then I found out everybody was having problems with this thing. It was you couldn't rewind and nothing. I don't like to watch all those undercards. I knew it was going to be 3 or 4 hours. If they say the fight starts at 8, it's going to the one you want to see is going to be at 11.
At 11, yeah. That all the time. I say this though, man. Just looking at Tyson, even when you looked at him when they were showing him warming, sparring and stuff. I'm saying you looked at his face and you looked at him. And he's 58. I mean, you can't.
He did look bad, and then he had that health scare. He was breathing hard in his corner. I think he won the first 2 rounds, though, didn't he?
I think he may. Yeah, I think I heard he could have won the first one. Yeah, maybe the second 2. It was. Look. Obviously, if those 2 were 27 and 27 years old, he's going to kill him.
It's been 30-second fight.
But at this point, it was. It is amazing though how things can be hyped up to a level where I saw people actually believing he would win. That type,
they
really,
sold it really well.
They did.
They sold me and you and 108 other million people, John. Okay, what time is spitballing coming on? I know sometimes folks change their start times and everything.
All right, I got 2 things. We got spitballing. It's a Bills podcast now. It's all Buffalo Bills. Tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern. We have his name is Nick Sabato. He is a reporter for the Niagara Gazette up here, and he's with the Bills.
Oh, nice.
Daily. So he'll come on. Yep, and we'll talk. Any questions, hopefully talk to him. He's with them all the time, so see what he thinks. And guys, remember, at Gridiron Weekly, it's right before this show starts. It's at 7:00 Eastern. It's me, my friend Ed, and Bill. These guys are smart. It's a smart show, man. It's a good show. We talk all football. It's on from 7 to 8. You could even then run right over here to watch Robert's show because Sports Scope is the best it is, man.
Hey, I appreciate you, brother. And you know what? If I don't make it tomorrow, ask that guy, Matt Milano. Is Matt Milano going to really play, or is he just pulling our leg?
I'll ask him. Yeah, I'm going to ask him. I can't wait, man.
Yeah, I like to see your Bills or this Detroit Lion team. One of them one of them would make my season. You know.
Well, yeah, because
I don't live in either environment, John.
Yeah, I'm not, as you know, I'm a Bears fan. My co-host there, Scott, he's a Bills fan, big time. Yeah. I'm just neutral, kind of, and I mean, Detroit's never been there. I mean, it'll be incredible.
It'd be cool to see the lowly Detroit Lions.
Yeah,
it's been so dreadful for so long, you know.
Let me say something though, real quick. Yeah. The head coach scares me. If you get into a situation where you need to make a big decision, I don't know.
Got a good memory. I remember 1 year ago.
Mm-hmm. That stuff against Dallas, then in the playoffs.
Oh my God. Lord help him. Lord help him. John Restano, everybody. Here, let me
Thank you.
Let me get the crowd here in it, man.
All right, man. Thank you.
Have a good night, man. See ya. I'll be back here tomorrow with the Mad New Yorker. He's chimed in. He's back in the country. We'll go over. I'm going to ask him about them Giants, by the way, Carlos. What do you think about Daniel Jones? He's officially done there. Have a good night, everybody. I'll see you same time, same place here on The Real Sports Scope.